We're going to demonstrate how the rectangle model can start guiding us towards some cool ways or some shortcut methods to actually multiplying a 2-digit by a 2-digit number. You may already know how to do this, but some of us over time kind of forget the why behind all this, or may just get a little bit confused on how to do 2-digit by 2-digit multiplication. So what I'm going to pick up on to start with is, I can kind of partition this off into smaller rectangles. And what I'm going to do is, first off, I'm just going to break the 26 apart into just using place value. It's just going to be a 20 plus a 6. That's the easiest way to change it to an addition problem. And then this 35, I'm going to turn into 30 plus 5. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to kind of partition the rectangle kind of accordingly. So instead of putting a 26 along this left side, I'm going to break it apart into a 20 and a 6. So a 20 plus a 6. And instead of keeping this side a 35, I'm going to break it apart into 2 pieces, a 30 plus a 5, 30 and a 5. So what I want to do from there is kind of partition it into rectangles. So I'm going to make kind of a 20 is a little bit bigger than 6, so I'm going to make that 20 look a little longer. And that 30 is also a lot longer than 5, so I'm going to kind of break it off as such. So what happens is I end up with these 4 smaller rectangles that we want to find the area of. In doing so, what we're going to do is to find the area of this upper left rectangle. Notice that one side is 20 and the other side is 30. So all I got to do is multiply the 20 times the 30. Remember, all you got to really focus on is just the 2 times the 3 and get the 6, and just bring in that trailing 0 there. So bring in the 6 and then the 2 trailing zeros. So that's going to be the 600. And then to find the area of this one over here on the top right, this is going to be a 20 by 5. So this 20 is going to also apply to the 5. Again, I can just do that front end part. The 2 times the 5 is the 10, and bring along that trailing 0. So the area of that rectangle is going to be 100 squares. And then I have this 6 by 30 rectangle. So this bottom left one is kind of 6 by 30. So again, I'm going to basically multiply the 6 to this 30 up here to get this area. 6 times 3 is that 18. And then just bring in that trailing 0, that turns into 180. And then to get the 6 times the 5, that's going to be this bottom right rectangle. So that 6 times 5 is going to give me that area. So it's going to be 30. To find the total area, what I could do is just add all the rectangles together. I'm going to kind of do it 2 by 2. So I'm going to go 600 plus 100 and get 700. And then this 180 plus this 30, that's going to be 210. And then those partials come together to be the total area is going to be 910. So what I pick up on is to find this multiplication, there's actually 4 multiplications that I do. So when I multiply 35 times 26, so I'm going to put this 35 times this 26 here. Showing the shortcut, let's see if I can fit that in here. And notice that when we do the shortcut, we kind of start the ones place. So I'm actually going kind of backwards. So I'm going to do the 6 times the 5. The 6 times the 5 is a 30. That would be actually this guy right here. But remember, using place value thinking, I can't put a 30 down. I can only put the 0 down in the ones place. The 3 has got to be carried over to the tens place. So now I'm going to do the 6 times this 3. But remember, this 3 is really a 30. But when I do but I can just ignore it and just say 6 times 3 tens. 6 times 3 tens is 18 tens plus the 3 tens is going to give me this 210. So notice how that actually mirrors this 210 over here that we did. But this algorithm is kind of doing it the other direction. When I come to this 2, remember this 2 is really a 20. It's actually this 20 times 5. So what we do is, remember like before with trailing zeros, we just go ahead and put that trailing 0 on down. So then all I got to do is focus on, the 2 times the 5 is going to be the 10. So when we do our math, I'm going to go ahead and put that trailing 0 down for the 20. Now I'm just going to focus on this 2 times the 5. This 2 times 5 is going to give me my 10. Remember, I have to carry though, so that 3 is going to go away and I'm going to carry a 1 up there. So when I do 2 times 3, that 2 times 3 is really this 20 times this 30. So this 2 times 3 is going to give me the 6 plus the 1 is going to give me the 7. So that comes down. So there's that other partial, that's 700. And if we put these two partials together, these partial products together, this gives us the 910. So that's kind of what the algorithm looks like. That's our shortcut. So the algorithm kind of models the area model, but I can see the area model a little bit better. So when it comes to this next one, I have this 48 times 64. So again, I have this, my place value, I have this 40 plus this 8. And I have this 60 plus this 4 using place value. So instead of making this side 48 and this side 64, I'm going to partition it off a little bit. I'm going to call this side 40 and an 8. That's going to make the 48. So the 40 plus the 8. And the 64 is going to be the 60 and the 4, the 60 plus the 4. So then I'm going to partition off. So I'm going to have, let me fix that a little bit. There you go. It still jumps a little bit. And then the 60 plus 4, I'm going to partition it off a little bit. Yeah, I create these 4 smaller rectangles to find the area of. So when I find the area, 40 times 60, remember all we got to do is focus on the 4 times the 6, which is that 24. And then those 2 trailing zeros come in to make it 2400. 40 times 4, all we really do is 4 times 4, which is 16, and stick on that trailing 0. So that's going to be 160. And then we have to bring this 8 through to find the area of these. So the bottom left is going to be 8 times 60. So 8 times 6 is that 48. And remember, you can write those tricks down to help you with this kind of math here. And then that trailing 0 drops in. 8 times 4 would be the bottom right rectangle, which would be then 32. So if I add these together, the 2,400 plus the 160, that's going to be this 2,560. And then if you do this 480 plus this 32, I can't really see that one as easily. I'm going to go up here a little bit. That 480 plus 32 is not as easy for me to see, so I'm going to go ahead and do a little bit of scratch paper with it. So 0 ones plus 2 ones is 2 ones, and then 8 tens plus 3 tens is 11 tens, but we just bring down 1 10, because remember 10 tens is 100, so that carries over to be 1 100, and 1 100 plus 4 100s makes 5 100s, so that'd be then 512. So 480 plus 32 then becomes this 512. And then if we put this together, this will give us all 4 pieces all together, would give me that total area of the rectangle. So it'd be a 2, a 7, a 10, carry my 1, and a 3. So 3,072 would be the area of that rectangle. There would be 3,072 squares inside there. So you can kind of see how this gets really hard to actually draw correctly. Now, if I want to model this, I can put the 64 times the 48 down. This would be what we consider this shortcut. But remember, we actually got to do 4 multiplications. So what we do is we start with the 8 and we multiply the 8 times the 4, which would be 32. So I carry down just the 2 and I carry over the 3. Then I go 8 times 6 is 48 plus 3 would be 51. So that's where that 512 is coming from. And when I come across here with the 4, notice that's really a 40. So what we do is we'll go ahead and put down the trailing 0 and just focus on the 4. 4 times 4 is the 16. So I have to carry that 1 over. So I'll mark that out and put a 1 there. 4 times 4 is 24. I'm sorry, 4 times 6 is 24. Remember, it's actually the other way around. 6 times 4 is 24. It's the rhymer. So 24, 25. So it's going to be, notice there's that 2560. So if I put that all together, you'll see that I end up with this 2, 7, 0. Carry my 1. That'd be a 3. So 3072. As you can kind of see, it's important to really make sure you have plenty of room, because that's what happens with math is you start to get a little bit messy. Then it's hard to read your writing like I did there. Let's look at this last example. 72 times 91. So 72, you have this 70 plus this 2. This 91 is this 90 plus this 1, using place value thinking. So instead of putting a 72 here, I'm going to put a 70 and a 2. That's going to make that side of the rectangle. And then instead of putting a 91, I'm going to partition it into a 90 and a 1. So that's going to create some smaller rectangles. So when I partition off here, I'm going to have a cut there for the 2 and a cut there for the 1. So what we want to do is find the area of all 4 rectangles. And to do that, again, 70 times 90 would find the area of this top left one, but all I got to do is multiply 9 times 7, which is going to be 63, and you put those 2 trailing zeros in there. Like I said, those math tricks will come in handy here to allow you to use your brain for all this. To find the area of the top right one, I got to do that 70 again. 70 times this 1 would end up being just 70. And then to find the area of the bottom left, this 2 has to go with this 90. So the 2 times 9 is the 18. And then that trailing 0 would stop in there. That'd be 180. And then 2 times 1 would just be the 2. So when I do the math, I have this 6,300 plus 70 would be 6,370. And then this 100 plus 2 would be 180 plus 2 would be 182. That math can be done mentally. And then if I do the 2 partial products now, 0 plus 2 is going to be 2. The 7 plus 8 is going to be this 15. Because remember, we're trying to find total area. We got all these together. So 0 plus 2 is 2. 7 plus 8 is 15. Carry that 1. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So got a 5, and then the 6 just comes down. So the area would be then 6,552. Now, if I want to do the multiplication using the shortcut, that would be just 91 times then this 72. This is what we really want to kind of focus on, is this as we move forward. So notice how we have to actually kind of go the other direction. I'm going to start with the ones place. 2 times 1 is the 2. The 2 times 9 is the 18. That's going to give me that 182. That's the area of these 2 pieces. And then remember, this is not really a 7. It's actually 7D. So we put that trailing 0 on down, and then we just focus on the 7. 7 times 1 is 7. 7 times 9 is that 63. And notice that that's at 6370 that we had over here. So get the same math. Just a lot less movement there when you don't have to draw a rectangle and stuff. So 2 plus 0 is going to be that 2. 8 plus 7 is 15. You carry the 1. 1 plus 1 plus 3 would be 5. And then bring down the 6. And you would have that same answer of 6,562. Now, if you make a mistake, you pretty much have to rewrite the problem over because it's hard to find the mistake in your scratch work because if you get it's hard to read your writing sometimes. So if you don't get the right answer, sometimes you're better off just starting over again with a new problem. So that's where we want to head with this. Is we want to start practicing multiplying a 2-digit by a 2-digit number.